Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. In this one I just want to talk about what XRP could do in the next year or so, the future of both the company Ripple and the token XRP, and I want to base that on this AMB crypto opinion piece. Now, as you probably know if you've been following my account for a while, if you've been following the channel, I have been critical of AMB crypto in the past for some of their business practices and for some of their choices in as far as how they frame their articles, but this one I read through and I find mostly quite valuable. I find makes mostly good points. So let's look at this together, and then I have a couple more articles open that we can briefly reference. Because I think the future for XRP is very bright, and the point being made here is that maybe, just possibly, XRP could trigger the next bull run and ultimately overtake Bitcoin. So let's start reading, and every couple paragraphs I'll slide in my opinion. XRP has been dormant for a very long time, and as the end of 2018 approaches, the much needed news about Ripple's partnerships with major financial institutions have started erupting in the crypto space. Which is also something, if you've been following my channel, you know this. We pretty much have a big piece of Ripple or XRP news almost every single day, and we've had that since, I would say since October. We've pretty much had news almost every day. In addition to the above, XRP and cryptocurrencies are being backed by major players in the financial industries, like the managing director and the chairwoman of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, which is a telltale sign of massive adoption of cryptocurrencies in the real world. Ripple has now made massive partnerships with major banks and financial institutions around the world, like Israel's GMT, Turkey's Akbank, which was just announced I believe like 2 days ago that they properly went live with Xcurrent, or possibly Xrapid, MoneyGram, American Express, CIBC, Earthport, and many more who have access to use Ripple's blockchain technology for cross-border payments and more. Actually, according to Ripple's own statements, their RippleNet service, which combines Xcurrent, Xrapid, and Xvia, their 3 different software products, their 3 blockchain products, under one umbrella, now reaches 40 countries as of, I believe this is from September or October, older article, so back then it already reached 40 countries. And as we have here, over 100 member banks and financial institutions were already part of RippleNet. Akbank announced that it was using Ripple's blockchain technology to transfer British pounds to UK's Santander, another financial services company. This announcement doesn't clarify that it is not using XRP as a bridge currency, but it doesn't mention that it isn't either. Moreover, the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse's words did come true, but partially because he said that at least one bank will be using Ripple's Xrapid by the end of 2018. More specifically, he stated, "I have publicly said we expect this year for at least one bank to use XRP in their payment flows to use Xrapid." Now, if you remember when he said this, this was in the middle of the year, and this was a part of a larger statement where he said he expects dozens of banks to be using the Ripple platforms in the near future, and that by the end of the year he expects at least one bank to be using XRP. With this new Akbank, I believe that is how it's pronounced, announcement, and with only a couple days left in the year, there's a lot of speculation that Akbank is probably using Xrapid, because they seem to be using a multi-hop feature, which is significantly more efficient on Xrapid, because there seems very little time left to announce anything else, and because they didn't specify which services they were using. And generally we see any partner bank, any partner company of Ripple, they usually come out and say that they're using Xcurrent or that they're using Xrapid. Nothing being said here, people are interpreting that as meaning Xrapid. Apart from the above, there have been rumors in the XRP community that the World Bank could be in close cahoots with Ripple, which sounds too good to be true. To add to this, I just debunked this rumor the other day, at least an article that was going around that was clearly faked. Now, there could be something going on with the World Bank in the background, but if there is, we don't have any official information. A couple days ago, an image went around the internet, went around Twitter of a fake newspaper article announcing the World Bank working with Ripple, but I think I thoroughly debunked this the other day on this channel. However, there is a definitive proof that the World Bank is considering using cryptocurrencies, according to the study by Dr. Ramanathan Somasundaram, I probably mispronounced that, and SM Kwamrul Hassan, who are both researchers specializing in government procurement. They have also proposed the development of a blockchain network to boost efficiency across government procurement systems worldwide. Christine Lagarde, the chairwoman of IMF, said that money itself is changing, referring to the cryptocurrency revolution that is incoming. Bert Garlinghouse retweeted with a comment, saying, "She is absolutely correct, money itself is changing." Digital assets not only help to solve the financial inclusion problem, but also the very real issue of a fractured global payment system. It just makes sense that central banks would lean in. And this article doesn't go deeper into her statements about financial inclusion. But something that I've pointed out on this channel repeatedly, and that Ripple is keenly aware of, that the people behind Ripple are keenly aware of, is that a lot of the world is currently unbanked or underbanked. And one, meaning they don't have access to a bank account, they're not properly integrated into the international financial system. A lot of them are keeping all their money in cash. They have no options to send money properly to friends, family, to make purchases. They essentially have to pay everything in cash or to use a service like MoneyGram to send cash. And those are incredibly expensive and slow. But one thing that Ripple is trying to do with their softwares is to get to this underbanked, unbanked population, which is millions, possibly billions of people, primarily in South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. And I believe parts of India also are really struggling with this, but I could be mistaken there. But bottom line is, there are a ton of people who are not currently integrated into world banking, who do not have access to traditional banking, and cryptocurrency could be a solution there if you can just have a wallet on your mobile phone. And a lot of these people do have mobile phones. They might not have bank accounts because the local infrastructure isn't there, but a lot of them do have mobile phones. If you can have an app on your mobile phone that is a cryptocurrency wallet where you can send money easily, that solves a real world problem, and that gets to millions and millions of people who were previously excluded, which of course can increase the size of the market, the size of the cake. There's more for everyone to go around if all of those people can be connected. But back to the article. With the current banking and financial system, transfer of money between countries takes a lot of time and has huge fees. That's where Ripple comes into play, with XRP being a bridge currency. A Twitter user, XRP Veteran, tweeted out an infographic representing how XRP acts as a bridge currency between different world currencies. Fiat currencies have a web of interconnected and inefficient ways to convert currencies, which is subject to liquidity. And here you see the system, how it works right now, where every currency is directly trading with other currencies, with no currency in the middle to make that a smoother, more easy process. Now, of course, US dollars and to a lesser degree euros and pounds generally act, I don't know why euro is in here twice, by the way. US dollars and to a lesser degree euros and pounds sometimes act as a de facto bridge currency, but that is still working in a slow, outmoded process. And then when you want to transfer one currency to another, you need to deal directly with banks that have the other currency on hold. You need Nostro and Vostro accounts, a lot of money just sitting around. XRP is a bridge currency. You just buy the necessary amount of XRP, transfer that over, and then sell it into the local currency on an exchange there. That is so much faster, so much more efficient, doesn't need all that money to be held. And that also shows you a difference in how Xcurrent works versus XRapid. Because XRapid uses XRP as a bridge currency by default, and as such is significantly faster and more efficient even than Xcurrent. Xcurrent is very much an improvement on the traditional system, but still works with the same underlying idea, while XRapid is this completely new type of technology using a bridge currency in the middle. Using XRP as a bridge currency helps accomplish cross-border payments in a maximum time of 3 to 4 seconds, and unlike traditional banks, XRP and Ripple's technology can be used 24/7, 365 days a year. And here, of course, they're not mentioning SWIFT, but the big player in international cross-border payments right now is, of course, SWIFT, which is run by a conglomerate of all the major banks. And SWIFT is notably slow. Even the fastest transfers on SWIFT generally take 2 days. They are getting ready their own new product now, Swift GPI. That increases that speed to, I believe they're saying, half of all payments can now be done in under 30 minutes. Now prepare that to every payment done in 3 to 4 seconds. Yeah, you see how much better this is. But right now, Swift is doing pretty much all international cross-border payments, all international liquidity. It's a slow, outdated process. It has been used in essentially the same form for 45 years. And if you're lucky, a payment goes through in 2 days with relatively low fees. If you're unlucky, it can take a week or 2 weeks and it can cost you an arm and a leg. So you see here why Ripple's technologies and XRP in particular are so attractive to banks and to companies and to customers ultimately. By using Ripple's XRP, there's a massive reduction in Nostro accounts, which are tedious and expensive. However, with XRP, Nostro accounts will be eliminated altogether as banks only need to hold the bridge currency, which is XRP. In comparison with other cryptocurrencies, Ripple and XRP make the transfer between any currency, any asset, and any commodity possible. And keep in mind here as well, if banks have to hold a lot of XRP, that means the actual amount of XRP readily available on the market to buy will be significantly lower than the supply shows, which will ultimately probably result, basic supply and demand. If the supply is lowered because all these banks are holding XRP, that means that the value of XRP should go up as a result when there is less supply than the demand demands. With all these partnerships in line, Ripple and XRP has a tag team plan to take on the remittance and the cross-border payment industry, which is worth $155 trillion in total, as mentioned by Navin Gupta. He stated, "Ripple is not an ordinary company. We're here to make a dent in the universe, and that's the reason 6 years ago we were born with the mission of moving money like information moves today. They call it the Internet of Value." He said that cross-border remittances is a $155 trillion problem and that they would solve that problem first, make a difference to everyone in that industry, and then move to the next industry. So here you see very high ambition in the Ripple camp. Of course, international remittance, cross-border remittance is already a massive market, but they're already planning ahead what they will do once they have solved that, where they can apply their technologies in other industries. And now let's look at the XRP token being actually more available and more used in the crypto world and not in the banking world. Coinbase recently announced that it is adding more than 30 assets to its trading list, and XRP was one among them. Coinbase has always been known for scrutinizing an asset thoroughly before adding it to their trading lists. And what they fail to mention here is also that Coinbase has been speculated to be hostile to XRP in the past, that they've been accused of deliberately excluding XRP for no good reason in the past, and them now adding XRP to the list of coins that they are considering for inclusion in the coming weeks or months. That shows you just how much pressure there has been mounting on Coinbase. At this point, XRP is so important as the #2 cryptocurrency, as a very well-respected project that a lot of traditional banks, a lot of traditional finance, a lot of big money wants a piece of, that Coinbase is pretty much forced to include them now. Coinbase is losing out on potential profit by not having XRP. Coinbase has to deal with the social media backlash, with their image being hurt by not having XRP listed. This is a sign of how much pressure XRP now can enforce, because Coinbase is the biggest platform of its kind. It's an $8 billion valued company, and if XRP can put so much pressure on them that they're now going to add it, that means XRP is growing in significance at a rapid pace. Since that has been thrown out of the window, the cryptocurrency community speculates that it could be due to the bear market wiping off more than 80% of Coinbase's trading volume since its all-time high in 2018. Furthermore, the community speculates that adding XRP to Coinbase could somehow aid and recover the lost trading volume. Pretty much what I said just now. Coinbase has so much to gain from having XRP on there, so much additional trading volume, so many fees that they can collect, and an improvement in their image. Whoever at Coinbase is personally opposed to XRP, they just have to accept now that adding XRP is pretty much a necessity. Binance's CEO, also CZ, also voiced his opinion regarding Coinbase on a tweet by Joseph Young, and let's read both tweets briefly. And firstly, one by Joseph Young. Coinbase has been listing everything in crypto apart from XRP. It says it may add every asset above a certain level like the stock market, but still no XRP. Savage. I believe at that time the news was already out that they were actually considering XRP, but never mind. On a serious note, it is likely the pending federal court case against Ripple is holding them back for now. And CZ responded, and of course Binance has had XRP on there for a long time, so Binance is not worried. The court case may take years, but if XRP is ruled as a security, it will seriously hurt a lot of US users, and to a certain extent other users around the world too. It certainly doesn't look like a security to me, but that's just one person's opinion. Now there's a lot to unpack here, but let's talk about the security issue for a moment, because that is one of the major arguments that you hear against XRP by distractors, and the fact is, if it is ruled as security, and let's completely ignore whether it should be considered a security or not, that is such a malleable and badly defined term that if you want to interpret something as a security, you can. If you want to interpret something as not a security, you can. So ultimately, whether it is or isn't a security, that is up to someone's whim. That is up to like the SEC's whim, or I don't know who exactly has to rule on this. But that is just up to people's whims, because security is not that well defined. It's a malleable term, and whether XRP fits it or not, that is ultimately up to opinion. But let's just assume that XRP is ruled as security in the United States. That would be short-term bad for XRP. Absolutely. I've never claimed anything else. But the thing is, that just puts up some minor barriers that need to be overcome. That means that if you want to trade in XRP, if you want to offer XRP and XRP-based products, you need different licenses, you need different kinds of regulations. But being a security has never, long-term, hurt any financial product. I think a lot of people, I'm not talking about CZ here, he obviously knows what he's talking about. But a lot of people in the crypto world throw around the word security like it's just kills something. Like it's just a one size fits all, like you're dead, you're over. But do you know what securities are? Do you know a security is simply an investment in something where you expect not a dividend, but some kind of return on your investment usually by a company. So, you know, all the things that are securities that have not been hurt by being a security, that are well respected, that every investor has, stocks, bonds, there's a bunch more. A lot of traditional financial products are securities, and they're being traded freely, they are flourishing. I mean, in 2018, now the markets are crashing a bit, but we saw them reach all-time highs, the traditional stock markets. The stock markets have not been hurt by being securities. XRP, if it were declared a security, first of all, that would only apply in the US, because different countries have different definitions of security, of course. But that would just be a short-term block where there might be some issues in trading XRP until exchanges get the correct qualifications to be trading it more freely, and until the regulatory framework is clear, because securities are sometimes taxed differently as well. But long term, that cannot hurt XRP in a major way. And the article is almost done, but let's look at the rest of this. Moreover, TD Ameritrade, a 40-year-old brokerage firm, stated in a tweet that it is planning to explore addition of XRP. It stated, "We're still exploring the XRP space. Stay tuned for more information. Our team is working hard to make things like this happen." Leading travel website Traveler, with more than 500,000 properties in over 200 countries, has announced that users can book hotels in those properties using Ripple's XRP. That is all news from the last couple days. XRP and Ripple enthusiast XRP Vibe Motivation tweeted out a map that shows all the partners that are currently using Ripple's blockchain services and exchanges that have listed XRP for trading. This could signify the reach of XRP and Ripple's empire. And just look at this. Just look at this. You pretty much have all of Europe, all of the Middle East, all of Southeast Asia, all of North America, and parts of South America fully integrated into the XRP and Ripple ecosystem. And that is ultimately what Ripple is aiming to do. Ripple is building a massive infrastructure worldwide where they're working with hundreds of companies, and they're tying them all together, and they're getting them all into their ecosystem. And even if a lot of them are currently using Xcurrent, which doesn't necessarily use the XRP token, Ripple's genius marketing strategy, their genius product strategy, is that they're onboarding companies by getting them into their ecosystem in any way, and once you have a customer in your ecosystem, they are likely to remain in there and to use other services within it. That is a well-known business truth. That is why once someone buys an Apple phone, Once someone buys an iPhone, they are likely to, for their next computer, get a Mac. They are likely to, if they want a dedicated music listening device, to get an iPod. They are likely to get an iPad. They are likely to get Apple Music, because it's part of the ecosystem that they're already working with. It is easier, it is integrated, and it's a brand they now trust. And large companies and banks are no different. Once they're in the Ripple ecosystem, even if they're not currently using the XRP token, XRapid is a sensible improvement, is a sensible next choice to test out, to migrate to. Once it has been proven, you have to keep in mind here, XRapid just went live 2 months ago. It's a new product. People are still testing how it works. But once more people see that it works wonderfully, once the word gets around that XRapid has improvements over Xcurrent, that it works even better, once there are first case studies of banks using it successfully for a couple months, you'll see more and more of these banks moving over to XRapid. Of course, another factor is it only having been live for 2 months. Technological solutions were probably built with Xcurrent in mind, because you generally don't build software for a technology product that isn't out yet. You don't integrate something that isn't out yet. That always takes a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months. So a lot of these might soon move over to XRapid using the XRP token. But even without that, any partner that Ripple has, and I said this in another video, any partnership that Ripple has is ultimately good for the XRP token, because it helps Ripple as a company and their image. It helps their money flow, meaning they have more funding that they can then invest in improving Ripple's technologies that are using the XRP token. They're having a larger ecosystem, and that will ultimately improve the chances of XRapid and XRP being in more use. And of course, once all of these banks, or even just a few of them, are using XRapid, we saw how big that international remittance problem is. That is trillions. That is 100 trillion. That is 155 trillion. I believe that is yearly. Imagine just a tiny part of that being done by XRP. Just a tiny part. Just 1%. And once this takes off, once the first couple banks see that it's working, that other banks can offer their services cheaper and more efficiently because they're using XRapid, they will all follow. And what we're going to see then is an immense amount of money moving through the XRP ledger. And at the same time, we will see a lot of XRP being held by banks in a way that isn't accessible to the markets. So we're going to see the supply actually lower, while there is more moving through the markets and an increase in demand. And that should push the prices up like crazy. Now, I don't know if we're going to see XRP reach ridiculous heights in 2019. But at this point, I would be absolutely shocked if we didn't see XRP at least $10 by late 2019 or early 2020. Unless this bear run continues throughout the entire next year, if anything even slightly resembling a bull market happens, we're going to see XRP at well over $10. Remember, XRP went to almost $4 just off speculation and hype. Before XRapid was live, before anyone was using XRP, before Ripple had established a huge network around the world, before pretty much every exchange had XRP on it, it got to almost $4 already. You think it's not going to get back to that value with all this infrastructure being built? You think it's not going to be bigger than ever before? XRP is going to be huge. And we don't really need the rest of this article. It just briefly talks about the market cap controversy where different websites were calculating the XRP market cap differently. But I think this is ultimately a very good article with I had some minor issues with, but I just wanted to let you guys see all of this and let you ponder all of this, what Ripple has been doing, what XRP has been doing, how all of this is working together to form a framework in which XRP could become absolutely huge. Ripple is, within the crypto community, Ripple and XRP are controversial because a lot of people have certain ideals about cryptocurrency, what cryptocurrency should be, what blockchain should be, what crypto tokens should be. And some of them are disappointed because they think Ripple doesn't do it the right way. But the way I'm looking at it, I don't have those ideals. I am an investor, and I'm looking at Ripple and XRP as a company. I'm looking at what they're doing, the problem that they're solving, how they're solving it, who they're working with, who they have on their team, what exactly they're doing, how they've been growing, what potential problem they're solving, and which chance they have of solving that. And all of that makes me believe that XRP is incredibly, incredibly undervalued right now. And that if you don't buy XRP while its value is low right now, if you wait until next year, if you wait until it's too late, you're gonna hate yourself. Because there are a lot of promising crypto projects. But Ripple is the only company in the crypto space who has a crypto token ready and who is working on such a huge network to deal a real-world multi-trillion-dollar problem and who have a realistic chance of reaching that in the next couple of years. Ripple is the most realistically ambitious out of all the major companies in the crypto world. And this isn't saying that a lot of other projects aren't also very promising and also doing incredible stuff and also going to see a lot of growth in their token price. But if I had to just bet on one cryptocurrency who are going to be absolutely enormous in the next year or two, then that is absolutely going to be XRP. Pay attention to what is happening in the space. That is why I'm talking about XRP almost every day on my channel. There's so much happening. They are building this massive network. They're building this foundation for incredible growth. And a lot of people in the crypto space aren't paying attention. Like the major crypto pages like CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, CCN, they often don't even report on major Ripple or XRP news, or they try to spin it in a negative way, or they hide it away as like one of the hidden away articles that isn't even really on the front page. You sometimes have to go for like the less reputable crypto sources to even hear about Ripple, because there's so much of a bias against it in the crypto world. And because of that, a lot of people aren't noticing all the stuff that Ripple has been doing. I dare you to find one other cryptocurrency, one other company that is building a cryptocurrency and that is working on the ecosystem for cryptocurrency, that is building this many partnerships, that has such consistent news coming out, that has a real legitimate use case, that they already have a working technology to solve, that they're now getting into the hands of real world customers. And I can dare you this because I know you won't find one. You will find very, 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 very promising projects. You will find incredible teams in the crypto world. But Ripple and XRP are a perfect storm. And it will be so huge. Just some things from the last, here, keep in mind, XRP just went live 2 months ago. This article from CNBC from when it went live. This is from the 1st of October. Just went live. They just launched their big product. And 8 months before they launched it, they were already at almost $4. Then we have here also from 3 months ago, RippleNet already in 40 countries. And that number is now higher. And then of course, what I opened here already, over 100 members of RippleNet. Then they have recently launched a new partnership with a United Arab Emirates firm that is working with a bunch of banks and will go live with Ripple in Q1 of 2019. They're doing it with 1 or 2 banks at first, but they're planning to expand this to a ton of banks. They are building such a massive global network. And if you're not paying attention to Ripple and XRP, or if you're letting your... You have to decide here. Do you have your investor hat on, or do you have your crypto enthusiast hat on? Because they might tell you different things here. But I'm looking at return on investment. I'm looking at where I can invest my money, where it has the most reasonable chance to grow the most. And I think most major cryptocurrencies will almost certainly go up in value in the coming years. But Ripple and XRP, the XRP token, is where I feel absolutely secure. Will it trigger the bull run? I'm not so sure about that, and I don't think this article really explains how it would do so. Because honestly, for XRP, they're building such a strong foundation that to me it looks more likely that the price will progressively increase over months and months and months than a ridiculous bull run being launched by it. But of course, XRP has also been seen to move the markets a bunch of times in the second half of 2018. XRP has actually gained power over the market and has launched at least one significant market uptick in the last couple of months, where XRP moved first and then everyone else moved after. So it does have that kind of impact on the markets now. And if a big XRP announcement sends the XRP price shooting up, it could very much trigger a bull run for the entire crypto market. My money on what will trigger the 2019 bull run, and we know there's almost certainly one coming in 2019. My money is on all the things that we know will go live in the first 2 quarters of 2019. My money is on all of those coming together, launching the entirety of the markets up together. We have Backed, we have the New York Stock Exchange, we have a major German stock exchange, we have possible Bitcoin ETFs, we have so much happening. And all of that is going to be institutional money, big money, millions, billions of dollars coming into the crypto world. I think that is more likely to launch the next bull run, but what I know for sure is XRP is going to be huge in the future. XRP is going to be an integral part of the crypto world because Ripple knows what they're doing. They have an aim and they are laser guided on accomplishing it. They have some of the best people. They have a bunch of people who are just working with regulators to make sure everything runs smoothly. They have over 100 companies and banks that they're already working with, and they're signing on new ones pretty much every week. They're expanding their system. They went live with XRapid. They are now slowly but surely getting more companies to move on to trying out XRapid, considering XRapid, going live with XRapid. The future for XRP and Ripple is going to be incredibly, incredibly bright. And I think you should pay more attention. Everybody should pay attention here. And with that, I'm going to end this video. Of course, keep in mind now, I'm not a traditional financial advisor. Do your own research. Look up everything that I said. I can be biased, I can make mistakes. Just don't ever buy a crypto token or sell a crypto token for that matter, just because I tell you to. Do your own research. But sorry, I just hit my microphone. My opinion on this is completely clear, I think. XRP is looking at a great future. So thank you so much for watching, as always. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should change that. You can find the links to all these articles in the description, as well as links to my social media pages, and ways to support this channel monetarily if you feel that my videos are valuable to you. But if you cannot or don't want to send me any money, that is also perfectly fine. If you could just leave a like or a comment, or ideally even share this video, that would be incredibly appreciated. I know every YouTuber asks you to do this, but it's because it really, really helps. Getting just a handful additional likes and comments on a video is the difference between it completely dying a day after it was uploaded and YouTube showing it to so many people that it survives and continues getting views for a week. So if you enjoyed this video, if you just left a like and a comment, or if you maybe shared it with a friend, posted it on social media, that would be incredibly appreciated. I will likely be back with a normal news update for the day where I look at all the major cryptocurrencies, everything that has been happening in the markets today later on. Until then, I'll see you guys.